Be sure to take advantage of your chance to see the biggest welterweight fight in 18 years since Leonard Hearns won De La Hoya versus Cortez. And now we bring you back live to the Atlantic City Convention Center and get ready for our look at Michael Grant. Larry Merchant, Grant is part of a lot of big things that are happening in the heavyweight division. You have the unification bout coming up next month, or 2 months from now, between Holyfield and Lewis. Tyson back in action and looking for bigger and better business. How does young Grant fit into all of that?
Jim, we don't know yet for sure because a lot of the public really doesn't know him. But you can look at it this way. There's some kind of football game down in Florida tomorrow. Denver's favored, I understand, by about a touchdown to beat Atlanta. Well, in 6 months to a year, Michael Grant would be favored just as much against any of the big-name, familiar heavyweights we've been watching for the last decade. There is a new generation of heavyweights that's coming up. And sooner or even sooner than that, they will be running the show. Michael Grant has the most star potential. David Tua is already a mandatory challenger. Rahman gained stature in his loss to Tua recently. And there are also a few others just behind them. Ika Ibeabuchi, who beat Tua but has had legal and personal problems and is now scheduled to fight Chris Bird, who nobody else wants to fight because of his left-handed cutie style. That's going to happen in March. And Kirk Johnson is still considered a comer. You never know about young athletes, which ones or when they might break down, just like young horses for that matter. But Michael Grant is the Winter Book favorite, Jim, to win the Triple Crown of boxing.
Yeah, and if you only saw him in the barn, if you never saw him in the ring, he still might be the Winter Book favorite off of just how he looks when he's walking around. He gets ready to fight a guy who doesn't look that way. In fact, Roy Jones, Ahmed Abdin, is a former sparring partner of Grant. And one axiom in this business is you don't fight a former sparring partner unless you handled him easily in the ring. Given that, is this, can we write it down, an easy victory for Grant?
No, you definitely cannot write it down as an easy victory. Mainly because sometimes when guys come to training camp, they come there to see what will it take for me to beat this guy if I ever get the opportunity, like guys have done to me. And they come there with everything to gain, nothing to lose. When they learn what they think they need to come beat you, they go back, they train hard, they give themselves time to prepare.
And they call you out.
And then they call you out. And you do whatever you got to do to them.
Well, we'll see what happened between Grant and Abdin in the past. Maybe it'll show up as they fight from round to round. Tale of the tape between Michael Grant and Ahmed Abdin. And Grant is 26 years old, been boxing exactly 6 years. 4-inch height advantage, 7-pound weight advantage. 14-inch, no, check it, 12-inch reach advantage for Grant. He'll have physical advantages against virtually everyone he ever faces in the ring. Rules of the bout with our unofficial scorer, Harold Letterman.
Okay, Jim, we got to talk about the controversy. Michael Grant and Ahmed Abdin will fight tonight using those unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commission. Jim, Ahmed's manager, Bob Spagnola, this week documented that in past fights, Michael Grant has won a protected supporter too high. And the rules say that a fighter should have the top of the supporter no higher than his belly button. So watch for referee Eddie Cotton, to be constantly looking at Michael Grant to see how high he's got that supporter. Back to you, Jim.
Thank you, Harold. Here comes Ahmed Abdin into the ring.
He claims that Grant has never hurt him in the gym. Of course, they wear head guards and they wear big gloves. He's a very aggressive fighter, try to be in Grant's chest all night long, and comes from a boxing tradition in his family back in Syria, which is uncommon.
Hails originally from the town of Latakia, Syria, now lives in Houston. We mentioned earlier the tow truck business that his family runs there. Seems to be a pleasant, bright young man with his feet on the ground.
The question is whether he can keep his feet on the ground tonight.
He does take umbrage at all of the glory and hype that's being heaped on Grant. He says, hey, listen, this guy's no Holyfield or Lewis, I know.
Here's a closer look at him. He's a cousin of Mustafa Hamsho. Some of you will remember a very rugged middleweight in the 80s who fought Marvin Hagler twice. and his only loss to Larry Donald, a top 10 fighter.
Donald did knock him down in the fight, right?
A surprise flash knockdown, yes.
A little dance music for the Michael Grant entrance. Longest layoff of his professional career so far.
What everybody is wondering is, will he be the Mark McGuire of the heavyweight division?
Well, part of the attraction, not just that he's so gifted into the ring, but he's seen as a model citizen outside the ring and the kind of person who could bring positive hero imagery to the sport.
I'm not sure that that's what fans really want, Jim, to tell you the truth.
Not sure they respond to that. Closer look at Michael Grant.
You can see he's a man of many skills. The piano, an all-sports star in high school in Chicago. Started boxing just at the age of 20 when referee Richard Steele spotted him, suggested that he try boxing, and his first trainer was Jack Mosley, the father of lightweight champion Shane Mosley, who is here tonight in his corner.
And let's go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the pre-fight introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, by way of Valley Park Place, Atlantic City, New Jersey, main event, along with your undefeated King of Beers, Budweiser. This Buzz for you presents 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant NABF Heavyweight Championship. Sanctioned by the New Jersey State Athletic Control Board, Boxing Commissioner Larry Hazard Sr., Chairman Jerry Gormley, Board members Gary Shaw and Stephen Katz, Deputy Commissioner John Greco. Physicians at ringside are Dr. Charles Wilson, Dr. Eric Wormser, Dr. Howard Taylor, and Dr. Kenneth Remsen. Your timekeeper at the bell is Arthur Spell, and counting for the knockdown seconds, alternate referee Lindsey Page. This bout is also sanctioned by the North American Boxing Federation President Sammy Mejias, supervisor at ringside Jean-Guy Prescott. The three judges scoring this bout on a 10-point must system are Miguel Acuna, David Hess, and Barbara Perez. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Eddie Cotton. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Valley Park Place, here in Atlantic City, New Jersey, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trimmed with white and weighing 243 pounds. He has a professional record consisting of 25 victories, including 11 by knockout, with 1 defeat and 3 draws. Ladies and gentlemen, fighting out of Houston, Texas, here is Muhammad Abdin. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white, trimmed with black, and weighing an even 250 pounds. He fights out of Norristown, Pennsylvania, and brings a professional record to the ring, a perfect 28 victories without a loss, 20 by knockout, and he is considered by many as the best young heavyweight in the sport today. He is recognized by the IBC as their world champion, and tonight he goes for the NABF title. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the undefeated Michael Grant.
Boxers, you both received your instructions in the dressing room. Obey my command. This is all good. They're a little bit high, but all that's good. Okay, let's touch gloves. Have a good, clean fight. Go.
Muhammad Abdin told us that he had met with another Muhammad Ali recently, and Ali proceeded to show him how to do some of his magic tricks. He will need some magic tricks tonight.
And though the given name is Ahmed, he prefers Muhammad. It's his nickname, so to speak. That's why Michael Buffer introduced him as Muhammad Abdin. He prefers it because all of the promotion for the fight centered around his given name of Ahmed. We've kept our graphics that way, but if you hear somebody mention Muhammad, it's Abdin. Grant starts out working behind his big, heavy jab. 6'7", 250 pounds. This is the future of the heavyweight division, isn't it, Roy?
Oh, yes, it is. Most definitely.
I mean, not just Michael, but guys of this size.
These guys are harder to reach. The small guys are going to have a major hard time trying to get close enough to land punches on them, especially if they're using jabs like Michael Grant is starting out here tonight with.
You know, we've talked about his high trunks and his cup, and maybe it's because he is so big, but it does look high. There's not much body to hit there.
Yeah, it's high, but, I mean, think about it. It makes him have less of a target for his opponent to hit, and anything that's shy of a chest shot is going to be considered almost a low blow.
Sure. So hey, if you can get away with it, do it. Absolutely. Eddie Cotton, the referee, took a look at it and said, this is okay.
Hey, use every advantage that you can get while you're out there trying to win. It's a legal advantage. Nothing wrong with that.
That left hand, that jab is a legal advantage, too.
That left jab has already created a red welt down the center of Abdin's nose and a red welt to the outside of Abdin's right eye. So Michael Grant is already doing some damage with the left jab in round number 1.
And advantage, too.
That left jab has already created a red welt down the center of Abdin's nose and a red welt to the outside of Abdin's right eye. So Michael Grant is already doing some damage with the left jab in round number 1.
And Abdin did sort of brush Grant's whiskers with that left hook.
I tell you what, if Abdin is anything almost as tough as what his uncle was, it'll take more than a left jab to stop him.
Yeah, Mustafa Hamsho. Well, and he was a tricky fighter with every known trick in the book. Abdin has landed the left hook to the body a couple of times. Short with his right hand. You can see the scar on the back of Abdin's skull. He says that as an infant, less than 1 year old, he was thrown out of a car in an automobile accident back in Syria. And he lay in the road, a baby wrapped in a blanket lying in the road, as a 16-wheeler came toward him, and the uncle who trains him in the ring rushed to the road and pulled him out of the way. Quite a story.
You heard referee Eddie Cotton say that Abdin's shot to the body was okay, and it did land square on the belt. So he's trying to enlarge the hitting zone in the body.
I tell you, Michael Grant is showing a lot of patience here tonight, too. We never seen him start out like this with a jab, establishing himself yet. But it's probably because of that long layoff. He wants to come in and get comfortable again.
Grant moving on his feet, firing the jab, apparently working on refurbishing his boxing skills in round number 1.
You get on the tall, fire, quick 3 punches. Bing, 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 bing. And go.
Grant's trainer, Don Turner, also trains Evander Holyfield and has stated quite openly in the past, if Grant ever fights Holyfield, he trains Grant.
If you want to use that right hook, you hit him right on it. But will it? Right. Look, which way you throw? Take your time. Take your time.
Okay, شوية كمان. بيجي بالجاب بالدبل، اوكي؟ طول لما بيضرب الدبل جاب تعب اليمين وراها فورا، اوكي؟
What Evander Holyfield has said, Jim, is that because of Grant's size, that if you can make him work hard enough, he believes that stamina will be a problem for him.
Get out, let him go, get out.
Yeah, but
where is it written that you can't train a 250-pound body to go 12 rounds? Seems to me if you train hard enough, stamina's not going to be a problem, regardless of your size.
Well, it's written in Evander's book on boxing, and
he knows more than I do. Abdin lands a left hook upstairs after a chopping left to the body, and then a right and a left, and a straight right for Abdin. And if you're looking for a dark cloud in the blue sky of Michael Grant's prospects as a potential heavyweight champion, it is in opponents' connect percentage. CompuBox numbers show that against quality opponents, and Abdin doesn't even necessarily rank in that category, but against the good fighters he's fought, they land 47% of their punches against Grant. They don't throw as many as they would against other fighters, but they land at a high rate.
You know why?
Why?
Because Grant allows them to come inside and fight him. He does a lot more inside fighting than you would expect a guy of his size and status to do. He's 6'8", he has long reach, but he fights inside, or he fights wherever his opponent wants to fight at. He doesn't avoid anything.
Well, is it dangerous for him to allow opponents to connect 40% of the time? Should he fight more defensively or more carefully with regard to allowing opponents inside?
I think he should, especially when he moves up to fight tougher opponents. When you fight a guy, for instance, say he fought a guy like Mike Tyson. You don't want to allow Mike to hit you at will, because one shot from Mike and the fight can be over with.
Yep.
Well, you know, percentage is also a function of how many punches are thrown at him. If 40% is 10 punches thrown and 4 landed, that's not a big deal. If it's 50 punches thrown in a round and 20 landed, that could be a bigger deal.
Well, what it's been is 30 punches and 14 or 15 landed.
Too many for me.
Yeah, there you go.
If it's 2 punches and 1 land, it's too many for me.
Well, I guess the first surprise here is that Abdin is not really that concerned with getting inside of Grant's long reach. He's fighting him primarily from outside.
He doesn't have to be, because Mike's going to come to him anyway. Mike, like I said, Mike doesn't care where he fights at. He just wants to fight. That's one good thing about him. I mean, he doesn't care. He'll fight wherever his opponent wants to fight at. If you want to fight him inside, he'll fight you inside. If you want to fight outside, he'll fight you outside.
Caught on the ropes. You understand? Give me another. Give him his water bottle.
two, 3 مفتوح بس لا تنام فيها لما بيعمل لك الجيت تعبر let's hook.
You heard Don Turner tell Grant to get off the ropes, and here is why. One solid punch in there. And what you look for in a young fighter is not only his ability to punch, but what happens when he gets hit. And he responded very calmly, Grant, and dominated the rest of the round.
By CompuBox numbers, Ahmed Abdin has landed 19 power shots in the first couple of rounds. That's more than Grant, who's only landed 10 out of 25. Grant has been focusing on his jab. Abdin lunging forward with a wide sweeping left hook, and it touches the face of Michael Grant. Not really a solid connect, but it was there.
How much of what we're looking at, Roy, do you think is attributable to the fact that they know each other so well?
A great deal of it, because Abdin knows that Michael Grant is not going to be running from him, so he doesn't have to make a big adjustment to like try to chase him or to try to get inside, because you know Mike's going to be right there. And Mike's not worried about anything because he's felt Abdin's punching power before, so he's not feeling any pressure from being hit by Abdin.
Abdin's left hook. Gets against the ropes, and then Eddie Cotton separates them. You wonder when Michael is going to try to drop a big right hand over the top. Where's right hand, Roy?
I don't even know if he's going to try it anytime soon. I think he's trying to wait, find some other openings first.
Well, look where Abdin's left glove is. It's every time it looks like Grant is coming in to throw punches, it's right up there around his eye bone. Nice quick little right hook inside by Grant.
Lead right hand by Grant. Through the guard of Abdin. Grant, you see the shoulder movement, head movement, double jab. He himself says, gosh, I might rather be in the NFL playing in the Super Bowl. I think I was that good. I might rather be in the NBA, getting a big contract. I think I was that good, but I chose boxing. And he says boxing's much tougher than any of those other sports because here you have to be ready 24/7. You can't call a timeout and have somebody else come in and take over for you if you're not effective. On March 8th, HBO Sports presents the next edition of Sports of the 20th Century. Dare to Compete, the struggle of women in sports. This documentary chronicles the history of women in sports, depicting how the suffrage movement, the 60s, and Title IX helped set the stage for today's female athletes. Dare to Compete, starting March 8th, another premiere documentary from HBO Sports.
Yeah.
Straight right hand to the body and that left hook. It's working for you, baby. Touch him with a jab and then hook off of it, okay? No leaning. Quick 1-2 all day long. Come on, let's go. Wake up.
You wonder, or I wonder, Roy, whether he's not firing that right because he feels that Abdin has seen the right and is prepared to counter it.
That's why I think he's not throwing it, because Abdin has seen it so much until he knows that that's probably Michael's bread and butter.
Told you Abdin seems like a bright young man. One reason is because when he went to work for Grant, he said Don Turner already knew him because he had previously worked with Holyfield. Therefore, when Turner offered him $750 a week, he said, no, I won't do it for less than $1,000, figuring that he had shown enough against Holyfield that he could get Don Turner to give him the raise. And he was right. He got $1,000 a week.
I like seeing Michael Grant use the jab tonight.
Low blow by Grant. And the crowd thinks that Abdin is over-dramatizing, but it was solid.
You got up to 5 minutes, okay? Take your time. You got up to 5 minutes. All right?
Eddie Cotton, incidentally,
Take your time.
is the man who disqualified Andrew Galata for low blows in the second bullfight.
Okay.
Well, you know, if
Take your time. Walk it off. Walk it off. Okay?
If-
You got a point. 1 point low blow. 1 point low blow.
now I'm a little surprised by that. He hasn't warned him before this. And in fact, one of the interesting things here is that if Grant is wearing his trunks and his protective cup high, Abdin appears to wear it low.
Okay, remember the gloves. Okay.
What do you think,
let's
Roy?
go,
Was
let's
he
go. We got a point,
over-dramatizing, or was he that badly hurt?
I think it was over-dramatizing, but I would like to see it again on the replay.
Well, maybe you'll get a chance between rounds. I can't guarantee it. Producer Dave Harmon guarantees it. With regard to replays, he's the man. Has Grant gotten into that zone yet, Larry, where he must produce a spectacular performance every time out, that something good and workmanlike is no longer good enough?
Probably. If all of the praise and expectations that have been laid on him has to be sustained in order for him to get the notice of the public, in order for him to get a shot at a title, yeah, he has to look good. He's dominant here, but he hasn't shown the kind of stuff that has attracted everybody to him yet. Maybe it's because of his recent idleness. Maybe it's because he's in with a sparring partner. He hasn't let go yet, apparently.
Abdin talking to Grant as he bears in against Michael in the corner, and you saw Michael holding the left hand out as if to say, I'm going to hit you in the rib cage again.
I think Michael Grant is overly impressive every time he goes out. His size is enough to impress anybody. He has punching power. He has such a big frame that it makes you want to see what he's going to do next time.
Great, Mike, great.
Let me have your shoes. Come on here.
Oh, don't take them.
You want to tape them?
That really make them slippery.
Okay.
That really make them slippery.
Huh?
That really make them slippery.
Okay.
He don't like his body shots, man. Really don't.
No, he is.
It's your fight. It's your fight.
Man, nobody puts water on back now. Okay? Okay, now they fight that out. Okay.
Roy, here's your replay.
Low blow, let's take a look.
No. I don't take that as necessarily a low blow. That's above the low blow area. Now, it's on the borderline of the cup, but the cup is right on the navel line, which is not a low blow. 2 inches under the navel is not a low blow.
Well, it was a second punch. That was called a low blow. I'm still surprised that he took a point away without having warned him previously.
And I don't think Abdin could have been hurt so badly by the punch that he needed as much time as he took to recover from it. But he's entitled.
Yep.
Harold, how do you have it through 4?
You know, Jim, you might as well use the rules. If you got 5 minutes, I'd take 5 minutes. What the heck? 3 rounds for Michael Grant, 1 round even, 39-36 Michael Grant. Before I thought Michael Grant won with that left jab. He just keeps pecking away with it. But when referee Eddie Cotton took the point, it becomes a 9-9 round. Michael Grant is wearing that supporter high, just like we talked about before the fight. It's really not, at the legal level. It's too high. One other thing I want to point out, Jim, Michael Grant, and he's not allowed to do this, pushes off a lot or grabs Ahmed Abdin behind the neck, behind the head. It's illegal. You can't push off with an open glove. You can't grab Abdin behind the head as a defense.
Lennox Lewis gets away with it. Doesn't he, Harold?
But, Jim, it doesn't make it right.
Okay.
See, Cotton won them 2 or 3 times for grabbing behind the head. He hasn't won them for pushing off. Watch Michael Grant push off with the open glove when Ahmed gets inside.
They don't often warn guys for pushing off anyway. I think Evander Holyfield pushed Mike Tyson off all night, both times they fought.
And got a lot of credit for it, as a matter of fact.
I think he did. So I don't really remember a fight where the referee really warned the guy too much for pushing off. The referees push you off sometimes. It makes the referee's job easier. At least he doesn't have to push these 250-pound guys around.
Last combination to the body by Grant. The pesky Abdin continues to lean in against the big heavyweight phenom, and Abdin landing at a higher percentage than Grant throughout the fight. His face shows the damage of their combat, but Grant has not been able to back Abdin off with his power.
Nothing Abdin hasn't seen before.
There you go, fella. That's right.
Grant missing with an uppercut. Kind of pulling up on a right cross.
Nice job.
Michael Grant's right hand not yet explosive in the fight. His left jab has been dominant. And Abdin now firing punches off of Grant's shoulders as Michael uses that big frame to protect himself.
And that's another good quality about a smart fighter. He brings what's necessary for the job to the table. He needs a left jab tonight more so than anything else. So that's
a little left hook to punctuate the round for Grant. One more edition of the show the pros watch inside the NFL. Thursday, February 4, we debut this final edition, 11 o'clock Eastern and Pacific time. Highlights of tomorrow's Super Bowl game. So join Len, Chris, Nick, and Jerry for their final comments on the 1998 season and their wrap-up of the Super Bowl, whatever happens tomorrow.
ما تطول حالك. Get busy. Okay? Get busy.
You don't like them body shots either.
Joe.
Go! Let's go!
What I'm looking for in the second half of the fight is not just the craftsmanship and obvious skills that such a big man has, but I'm looking for a little passion, a little trying to make something happen. And I'm Michael Grant, and I'm going to dominate you. I'm not going to move away from you as much as I've been moving now. I'm going to stand here and let's go.
It's a relatively quiet crowd in the upstairs room here at the convention center. Knowledgeable boxing crowd, so no doubt many of them are here for the specific purpose of looking at Grant and confirming or denying in their own minds whether he deserves his present status as the number 3 man in the division behind Lewis and Holyfield.
And Grant does have a little groove under his left eye.
Abdin has not backed off a bit. Hard left-hand shot to the body by Grant. Backed Abdin up into the ropes. Through long stretches of the bout, Grant fighting Abdin virtually one-handed, using the left hand alone to do his business.
Takes a lot of discipline to do that, Jim. Especially for a young fighter.
Guy with virtually no amateur career. As Larry mentioned, Richard Steele, famed Vegas referee, met Grant when Grant came as a spectator to the first bout between Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe, November 6, 1992, at the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas. Steele guided him into the hands of Jack Mosley, well known now as the father of world lightweight champion Shane Mosley. And Mosley started him out in the gym in LA and taught him the rudiments of boxing. That was in 1992 and 93. Grant had been a football linebacker and tight end, and a front court rebounding star in basketball, both in his native Chicago and in junior college in California. Combustion at the end of round 6. We're halfway through the scheduled 12 here in Atlantic City, and Ahmed Abdin still plugging away against overwhelmingly favored Michael Grant. 2 redheads tonight for round card girls. It's an upset. You don't often see it. The preponderance of blondes and brunettes so overwhelming in the sport. that 90% of the time you would see no redheads at all, but tonight, a double redhead shot for round card girl action in Atlantic City.
A smart right-left combination to the head of Grant at the end of that round, but it probably did not salvage the round for Abdin, who himself now is obliged, if he wants to win rather than simply to survive, to make something happen, to open up. And maybe this has been too much like a sparring match between former sparring partners. That sometimes happens.
It's probably one of the toughest things for general sports fans to understand about boxing. Good left hook by Grant. Huh?
Yeah, and I think it shook Abdin momentarily, but he comes right back.
Roy, I think there are large segments of the general sporting public who will never fully understand or appreciate how difficult it is, even for a top fighter, to knock out an opponent who only wants to survive.
Yeah, it's very difficult because that opponent is going to take as less chances as possible.
Right.
He doesn't open himself up. It's like trying to get to a turtle's head while he's always in the shell.
Something like Jesse Ferguson was able to pull off against Andrew Galata earlier this evening.
There you go.
In going 10 rounds against an utterly dominant Galata. Grant's body shots, and he stepped up the pace to the body in the past 2 or 3 rounds, seem to be having a cumulative effect on Abdin.
He seems to be wearing Abdin down a little bit. See, this is the part about the sparring that Abdin didn't get to see. They usually don't go over 6 or 8 rounds, so when it gets late in the fight, the sparring partner does not know how to react.
Grant says that if he bides his time and stays patient, his opponents will all tire against him because the extra effort they put forth in fighting against a so much larger man saps them more than they realize.
And that could be a possibility. And that's what I think Michael is waiting on here.
Abdin reaching across the top to try to get in a right hand.
Break!
Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up.
Break! Break! Oh. Come on, don't cuff him no more like that. Let's go. Let's go.
This is the first round in which Abdin has shown in his face something like a look up. Bewilderment or discouragement, but just as I say it, he whacks Grant with a left hook and pounds him with another right hand.
But I think Grant's body punches are really, really weakening him.
Despite all the leather Abdin has tried to throw and those punches we've seen him land, Grant's face is unmarked, while Abdin begins to show quite an array of welts and scratches.
Grant's face is marked a little. He has a little swelling under that left eye.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I take it back. There you got it, right there.
Hey, you want to see an eye swallow? Look across the ring. His is eye swallow. Here's this. You got a little bump. This is mouth. This is mouth. This is mouth.
يلا معلش بس على الانسان ما توقف اديني المخ هذا مخط له اوكي gimme you're gonna have to push him ما توقف
This is your fight, baby. Come on. We're still here for everything.
يلا شوف عبوها معي relax mode okay dancing يعملوا ضربات الوسط.
Sometimes these fights between big men, particularly a young, talented, promising guy we're all expecting big things from, can be a little bit like watching sausage being made. It's not always pretty, but it's necessary.
Abdin with the left hook after softening him up with a series of jabs.
You know, I think what's happened here, Roy, is that Abdin came out determined to neutralize the right hand of Grant, which is his most dangerous punch, and in effect dare him to beat him with his left. And that's exactly what Grant is doing. It's sort of like trying to stop the running game and tell us you got to beat us with your passing game or vice versa.
And a smart team takes what the opposite team gives him. He's giving Grant the left hand and the jab, and that's what Grant's taking.
That's what makes it good, man.
Abdin needs to be the one fighting the hardest when he's inside, because he can throw bigger and harder punches in there because his arms are shorter. Instead, he holds on quicker than Grant does.
Grant lands a little right uppercut in there. Abdin grabs and holds. Certainly can't fault Grant for patience here. He's been composed throughout, as was Galata earlier this evening. Section for the Syrian-American fighter, chanting Abdin, Abdin, Abdin. Blood starting to flow in the middle of Abdin's face as Grant continues to pound him with that left jab.
Yeah, and one more thing Grant has to learn is he has to learn how to land that big right hand from right out there where he's landing that jab from. He's jabbing, trying to set up the right, but there it is. That was. His body usually is a little too close by the time he completes the second jab to land the right hand.
He was about an inch short with a right hand that might have been his biggest punch in the bout so far.
Listen, Mike, what are you holding in your right hand? Huh? Hurt the hand? Yeah. Listen, you can get it fixed afterwards. You know that. You can beat anybody with a left hand. You ain't throwing enough left hand. That's all right. Let it stay. Relax. Hold it down. Sure. Okay, yalla. Okay? Take a deep breath. Okay. كيفك؟ بدك تقوى بهالجولة؟ بدك تضرب هون combination? Man, every time you hit him in the body, you want to quit. That's why you don't like them body shots.
Perhaps a revealing conversation between trainer John Turner and Michael Grant. He says, where's your right hand? Why aren't you throwing it more? And we couldn't hear what Grant said, but he may have indicated that he heard it. And you heard Turner say, well, we'll take care of that later. And you can beat anybody with your left hand.
Yeah, so there's every indication there that Grant has hurt his right hand.
Yeah, but I don't know where he could have hurt it at. He must have hurt it in training. I didn't think he landed in the big punches, but there again, he could have landed a shot on the elbow or something that really did hurt it.
You can hurt it on the elbow. You can hurt it on the top of the head. Harold, how do you have it so far?
Jim, I think he heard it on the top of Abdin's head. I got it a shutout. 7 rounds from Michael Grant. 1 round even when, the 4th round when referee Eddie Cotton took away a point for a low blow. Michael Grant just keeps that left jab in Abdin's face. And although Abdin's landed a few good punches in this fight, he never follows it up. He lands one good punch and he grabs, he holds, he backs up. I mean, so far, Michael Grant's in complete control. Gets off first. He's the aggressor, landing more jabs, and he's winning it with that left jab.
Well, maybe we've got the wrong fight here. Maybe this should have been Grant against Galata and Abdin against Ferguson.
Well, then we would have only had to televise one of them.
Yeah, because I don't think many people would have cared to see how Abdin would have did against Ferguson. But the Grant Galata fight would have been very interesting.
Both families, large and wonderful families, I'm sure they would have been interested.
Oh, yeah.
Grant Galata, that'll be something to see if it ever happens.
For the boxing media.
Another body shot by Grant, this time with the right hand, so he's willing to throw the right to the body. And there's an uppercut.
And you have to give it to Abdin. He is tough, and he's staying in here with Grant. Although Grant being much bigger than he is, he's taking some great shots from Grant.
And he's getting paid better than $1,000 a week, which is what he got as a sparring partner.
And if you've had a long layoff, as Grant has had, sometimes having to go some rounds is a blessing in disguise. Probably at the end of the night, if he has to settle for a decision against Abdin, Don Turner, the trainer, will say, well, it was a lot of good work.
And Abdin is still trying to land a big punch here.
Shots by Grant.
Abdin doesn't like the body shots, and Grant is trying to make him like him even less.
Grant listening well, as trainer Don Turner told him, every time you land a body shot, he wants to quit.
There you go.
And you can see it on Abdin's face.
3, 4. Okay. All right.
First knockdown of the bout. First knockdown of the evening.
Okay. You okay? That's a knockdown. It's a knockdown. It's a knockdown. It's a knockdown.
Eddie Cotton says it's a knockdown. It was a knockdown.
And Abdin does have a look that seems to say, I don't want too many more of those body shots.
Yeah, see, these are the rounds that he didn't get a chance to see in the gym when he fought with Michael Grant.
Take a look. There were 5 or 6 or 7 clear, hard blows to the stomach. There you see a little uppercut intercepted by Abdin's ample little belly.
I don't think it was little. I don't think anything Michael Grant can do is little.
Grant, who existed off the jab through much of the bout, unloading 41 power shots in round 9, the majority of them to the body, and he landed more than half, 23. Letterman calling it an 8-point round.
I don't know why they're putting grease on Abdin's head. They ought to put it on his belly.
Ahmed Abdin willing to come out for more. Bout is scheduled for 12.
You know, we've talked, Roy, about how Abdin has his left hand up there. He's really very conscious of Grant's right hand all fight long, and he's managed to neutralize it, but at considerable expense, because he's a beaten-up fighter. Good right hand.
Right hand by Grant, and Abdin goes down like the proverbial sack of potatoes. That was a good shot.
As soon as Abdin opened up with an attempt to try something, he got nailed by that right hand.
As soon as he opened up, he came out left shield. And that's what happens when he comes out left shield.
So Abdin electing to go for broke in the 10th round and pays the price as Michael Grant, while backing up, lands a little right-hand shot that puts Abdin on the floor. Abdin hates it to the body, and Grant goes straight back to the midsection there. Abdin trying to convince Eddie Cotton that he's beaten with low blows.
But Eddie Cotton won't go for it.
They aren't low blows. They're right on the bare surface of Abdin's skin. He doesn't even want to get hit in the chest anymore. Go ahead, Larry.
Mike. No, I don't think you saw. You got to keep him up, man. Let's go.
I think Abdin wants his 5 minutes now.
Grant getting a chance to try to load up a right-hand shot. Seemed to pull the punch just a little bit at the end. Maybe that right hand is hurt in some way. So there have been 2 knockdowns, one in round 9 with a body shot, and one in round 10 on a right hand to the head. First time in the fight, Abdin is seriously on the run away from Grant.
With good reason.
He's got to get up to stay in the fight, and he does.
Corner. That's in the round. Go. How you feel?
I might have got disqualified for the last punch of this round.
Tell me where you are. Tell me where you are.
Give me the water.
Let's see.
Man, y'all don't.
There's a possibility that they could stop this fight. Abdin really doesn't want any more.
Yeah, it's over. I think the doctor's giving it up.
Uncle Hisham is saying he's all right.
Here's the first knockdown. There you can see. And the fight has been stopped on the recommendation of the doctor. There you see a left jab, the finishing blow of a salvo, and thoroughly beaten up, but game Muhammad Abdin.
So Muhammad finally surrenders to the handiwork of Michael Grant. Grant landing 21 of 32 power shots in the 10th round. Again, most of them to the body. Dr. Ken Remsen saying to referee Eddie Cotton, why more? No more. Enough.
Could have said that a long time ago.
You got to give the crowd their money's worth.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
And let's face it, for most fight fans, particularly at a heavyweight fight, their money's worth means some damage. They want to see the guy go down.
They deserve to get their money's worth.
We are told that the decision to stop the fight came after Abdin was asked what city he was in and could not answer correctly. So what?
Hold on, whoa.
A lot of us don't know.
You know, I had a friend of mine that's an amateur one day to do that. The doctor asked him, say, where are you? He said, I don't know, but that doesn't mean anything. I didn't know where I was before the fight started.
I just want to know. You don't get away with it. You got it.
I remember one night referee chasing Mike Rossman across the ring to ask him if he was okay after Victor Galindez had knocked him down. Rossman says, I'm fine. Referee stops the fight. Rossman says, what was the right answer?
Hey, Mama. Everybody back home in Chicago.
Everybody back home in Chicago.
God bless y'all.
God bless you all. So say Michael Grant. Grant's 21st knockout in 29 ring appearances.
Worked on a few things. Patience is
Worked on a few things. You can hear him saying patience, etc. We'll hear more in just a few minutes. Let's go to Michael Buffer with the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at Bally's Park Place in Atlantic City, New Jersey, this bout has come to a halt. Referee Eddie Cotton, acting on the advice of Dr. Kenneth Remsen, has called a halt to the bout. The official time, it comes at the end of the 10th round. The winner by TKO victory, and now the new NABF heavyweight champion, the undefeated Michael Grant.
And final punch stat numbers showing Grant's dominance in the fight, throwing more than twice as many punches as Abdin, and generally dominating throughout with his jab. Later in the bout, he shifted to body punches, and I think when he went on the attack to the rib cage, he wrote the final story in the fight. Roy.
Yeah, I think the body shots were the main thing. They took all of Abdin's power.
Let's go up to Larry Merchant with super heavyweight prospect Michael Grant.
Thank you, Jim. Michael, congratulations. I see among your many talents, you're also a hairdresser. First question is, I see you're holding your right hand. There was some remarks between you and trainer Don Turner after about the 9th or 8th round in which he talked to you about throwing the right hand. Did you hurt it early in the fight?
I did. I heard it early, and I think around the 3rd round. And so I just said, I just jumped to my stick because I gave it some time to rest between the 5th and the 6th and the 7th, and set it up for the 8th.
How did you hurt it? On his head?
I don't know what I hit. I think he got a hard upper forehead. I think I hurt it, or I hit his elbow. I don't even know. I was throwing punches, and I caught it at a bad angle, and, you know. Hey, first, let me start off right. I want to give it honor to God, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, then I hurt my hand in the 9th round, 10th round, whatever. I recouped.
Was that a good experience for you, having to win a fight with your left hand, but finding your right when you had to finish it?
Oh, yes, it was. I finally realized that I'm a late finisher. I'm not an early round knockout guy, but I can also go out there and knock somebody out in the 1st round. But my MO is just, you know, establish my jab, you know, frustrate the guy and look successful at the end of the fight.
Was the fact that this was a long, grueling fight have anything to do with your experiences with him as a sparring partner, that he knew you, that he seemed determined not to let you hit him with that right hand?
Yeah, he took some shots, you know, when we were sparring in the gym. He knows me pretty well, so he knows my power and everything. So I had to catch him looping that left hand. So when he drew that jab, catch him looping. When he lunged in the corner, I just timed that right hand like with a jump back and hit it when I was going back, and then hit him on the right at the point and broke him down.
All right, promoter Dino Duva said when I asked him a minute or two ago whether he would consider making a fight between you and Andrew Golota. What are your thoughts about that?
You know, Golota got problems of his own. You know what I mean? You know, hey, you know, I fight anybody, Larry.
What do you mean? You don't want to add to his problems? Is that what you're saying?
Because I'm not going to talk about him, you know what I mean? Because, hey, he's his own man. He got his own problems. His destiny is in his hand, you know what I mean? And that's, you know, I fight anybody, but really, my whole thing is just establishing Mike Grant.
Quickly then, Don Turner, how do you feel about a fight with Andrew Golota?
I would love it. You know, I would love it. You know, Michael will fight anybody.
All right, you said it all. Thank you very much again, gentlemen. Congratulations on your victory. And Michael, you can stop being a lens louse at this point. You've had the camera on you for a good hour. Golota versus Grant. We'll take it. Would be an interesting fight. Just these final words. Jim Lampley said earlier tonight that Michael Grant was ranked just behind Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis in the minds of the boxing community, and that is true, but not yet by the sanctioning bodies who have seen fit to rank such worthies as John Ruiz, who was knocked out in 19 seconds by David Tua, and Ray Mercer, who has fought one nondescript opponent in 2 years, and Henry Akinwande, who put on that disgraceful performance in his challenge of Lennox Lewis, all ahead of Michael Grant. And when asked about such ratings recently, Jose Suleiman said, well, it's all subjective. No, 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 it's all suspicious. And Michael Grant is neither subjective nor suspicious. Jim?
All right, thanks a lot, Larry. You heard Grant say, I'll fight anybody. In truth, he told us in a fighter meeting yesterday, I'll never fight Evander Holyfield. I just don't want to fight him because our friendship is so close. At some point, Evander will go off into the twilight. Then I want to be heavyweight champion. So if, in fact, he lives up to his pledge, Roy, that he wouldn't fight Holyfield, for the fun of it then, let's assume Lewis wins the unification bout in March against Evander. The question then becomes, is Grant ready to be matched against Lennox Lewis right now?
I don't know. First, I might want to see Larry Merchant versus Jose Suleiman. I don't know, but
Merchant's quicker.
I think Grant needs a little bit more experience before he fights a guy such as a Lennox Lewis. He hasn't seen a guy with the same size that he has, or with the punching power that Lennox Lewis has. He will definitely need a little bit more experience before he takes on Lennox Lewis.
So a match with Golota would be a great idea.
That would be ideal for him because, like I said, he has a few more adjustments to make with his with his distance between the guy and himself. He doesn't, like tonight we saw him several times, have himself set for a right hand, but he was a little bit out of position. He was too close to his opponent to land the right hand. He has to work on these types of things before he can challenge somebody like a Lennox Lewis.
All right, still more technique to learn. That's totally understandable. He had a very brief amateur career, 29 professional fights, and already Michael Grant, as we've said, anointed by boxing reporters and magazines as the number 3 heavyweight, the heir apparent to the winner of Holyfield Lewis. Well, thanks for being with us. We'll have a final word on boxing in a moment. Here's some upcoming programs.
His speed, his power are unquestioned. His explosiveness frightening to behold. He is an irresistible force. His defensive capabilities unparalleled. His veteran's wisdom and tactical skills mesmerizing and potentially insurmountable. He is the immovable object. World Championship Boxing, Trinidad versus Whitaker. Live Saturday, February 20th on HBO. Witness the phenomenon.
On February 27th, tune in for the half-hour countdown to Holyfield versus Lewis. We'll look at the careers of Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis and analyze their upcoming pay-per-view battle. Afterward, live boxing. Reggie Johnson against Will Taylor and Cesar Bazan, who is a lightweight titleist, against Stevie Johnston. That's a rematch. Earlier this evening here in the Atlantic City Convention Center, Andrew Galata, despite his trepidation about having to fight last-minute throw-in Jesse Ferguson instead of originally scheduled opponent Jimmy Thunder, made mincemeat of Ferguson in an easy, unanimous decision. Ferguson managed to fight and survive, but that's about all he was able to accomplish against a sharp Galata. And then Michael Grant labored through 10 rounds before finally managing to knock out former sparring partner Muhammad Abdin. Grant pounded Abdin in the late rounds with body shots and simply caved in his friend and former sparring partner. So Grant stays unbeaten at 29-0. Coming up immediately following our show, stay tuned for Murder at 1600. For the entire Boxing After Dark crew, I'm Jim Lampley, saying so long from Atlantic City, New Jersey. The executive producer of HBO Sports is Ross Greenberg. Tonight's Boxing After Dark show was produced by Dave Harmon and directed by Mark Payton. The associate producers were Greg Backer and Max Siegel. Assistant to the producer, welcome, Rodney Burford. Production manager Mark Hayden, technical supervisor Bob Hunter. Happy 50th birthday, Bob. You didn't tell me last night when we were eating dinner next to each other. And the technical director, Doug Getz.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.
From HBO Sports, 2 great boxing shows on one great night. First, Holyfield versus Lewis. Take an in-depth look at the strategy, the history, the men, and their destiny before the showdown for the unified heavyweight championship of the world.
This is my opportunity to shock the world. I will do what's necessary to win, and I will win.
Get the blow-by-blow before the ultimate battle. Countdown to Holyfield Lewis, followed by Boxing After Dark Live as 2 champions operating in the shadows step into the limelight. Cesar Bazan defends his lightweight belt in a rematch with former champ Stevie Johnston. The victor earns a shot at Sugar Shane Mosley. Plus, light heavyweight champ Reggie Johnson takes on #1 contender Will Taylor. The winner gets in line to battle Roy Jones Jr. Countdown to Holyfield Lewis and HBO Boxing After Dark. It all happens Saturday, February 27th on HBO.
Next on HBO. He's a detective following a trail of corruption.